Could not work without this thing. I discovered that pedal probably, I don't know, 20-some years ago. I remember seeing it on Brent Mason's board when I was a kid. I first moved to Nashville.
All right, gang, we got a special one here for you today, talking about something that really seems to be a secret weapon of all the professional guitarists out there nowadays. And we got the one and only Uncle Larry. He made the trip over here and talking to us about how he uses the GE7, or just EQs in general. And I think this is a great example of learning how to really use the gear that you have. I'm going to do a couple of these videos with different players, and just notice how well they know how to use the gear they have. These pedals have been around for a long time. I'll link them down below if you want to. And if you would, make sure you check out Tom's channel. I'll link that as well. If you don't mind, hit the subscribe button for this channel. So here we go. Get yourself an EQ. Let's go.
Hello, Robert.
Nice.
Hello, my friend.
The concept here, because in one of your videos, I think you had a Les Paul, and you used an EQ, and you made it sound like the Gretsch.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, man, is that kind of like the secret session weapon? I mean,
Oh, yeah, dude.
you can just
Yeah.
morph and model whatever you want.
That's our camera that we're talking to, right there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, dude. I could not work without this thing. This is like, I discovered that pedal probably 20-some years ago. I remember seeing it on Brent Mason's board when I was a kid. I first moved to Nashville, and I saw his rig at SIR one time, which is like a big rehearsal studio. And I remember seeing his pedal board, and I thought, man, why would a guy ever have an EQ pedal on a board? I thought it was really weird.
Yeah.
And Lord, once I discovered how valuable and useful it is, it just completely changed everything for me. Because when you think about it, when you're recording, what the human ear is picking up on when you're talking about guitar tones, there's only a couple of factors of what's coming through those speakers that really make a difference.
Yeah.
Most of it is the EQ. Another important factor is the amount of overdrive. The two main things your ear is picking up on when you're sitting in front of studio monitors hearing a guitar sound is the EQ curve of it,
Yeah.
and how much gain it has. There's a couple effects, in my opinion. There's only a couple effects. There's reverb and delay and tremolo, and the rest of them are like, very, very off like side things.
Yeah.
But the human ear is really picking up on EQ curves and the amount of distortion that's there. And what I try to do is I try to get sounds on tape that sound good and they sound right in the track without having to turn the fader up.
Yeah.
If you have to turn the fader up on the console too far to make something sound good, it's the wrong sound. That's a fact. So what you're trying to do is you're wedging your sound in there into an existing mix. So this EQ is so important because I don't care what the guitar sounds like on its own. I care what it's doing in the mix. What it's surrounded by is as important as the sound itself. Okay, so you'll notice when you start recording all the time, you can dial up an amazing sound that sounds incredible, rich, full sound that's amazing sounding. And then as soon as the band starts playing and the bass comes in, it sounds like an AM radio. Why is that? Why doesn't it sound as awesome as it did when the track is going, when it was by itself? Do you know the answer? Phase cancellation from the other instruments. Okay, like you'll notice on old AC/DC records, one of the main reasons the guitars sound so big is not because the guitar sounds, it's because the bass is so small. If you tried to get a louder, more modern bass tone on those records and turned it up more, those guitars would get smaller and smaller and smaller.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So those records were made and mixed with that in mind. The guitars sound amazing. Van Halen records the same way. The bass isn't loud. It can't be because he wanted a giant guitar sound. The only way to get a giant guitar sound is to turn the bass down. Because what happens is there's cancellation. So what you end up doing is when the band starts playing, you have to start tweaking the EQ to make it sound right while all that shit's going on.
Okay.
Okay? It doesn't really matter what it sounds like on its own.
Yeah.
So this is what I use this for. People that know that I use this pedal and they think that I only use it for mid-range boosts and stuff like that for solos, which I do, but that's not it at all. Adding the right EQ guitars and it fills in the picture and everyone goes, yes, that sounds like a record. So everything has to be represented. You can't have too much on any one frequency and you can't have too little on any one frequency. This is why this is useful. So like when I'm called in to overdub on a record, they'll say, hey, what are you hearing? What I'm actually looking for is holes in the mix.
So how quickly are you hearing?
Immediately. I can immediately tell what's missing. So I've just been doing this forever. I mean, I probably couldn't do that in the early days. I didn't know enough. But like I can always tell when a certain mid-range frequency is missing or something like that. So I'll just start dialing up sounds that sort of get right in that hole. And usually people are like, yeah, it's really not even as much about the part. It's about that EQ frequency. Yeah. So that's why I've got 4 EQs on my pedal board, my main board, all different types. I've got some that are really radical. I've got this one for just basic graphic. I've got parametrics, and I use them constantly to sort of sculpt and tweak those tones to get in there. And sometimes what will end up happening is you get a sound that's killer in the mix. It sounds amazing. It's making the track. And then you hear that sound by itself and you're like, ugh, that's a terrible sound. Yeah. I would never just dial that sound up and go, whoa, that's cool. Some of the best sounds I've ever got on records, if you soldered them up, they're not good. Like in the classic sense, right? So for years I was looking for the perfect boost pedal. I was trying all these different boost pedals. And then I realized one day that just boosting the mids and the output of the GE7 is better than any boost pedal ever going to be. Yeah. And you can sculpt where you want the boost to be, right? I always know when somebody's not really a session player when they copy my boards when they've only got it set like that. Yeah. I do way more than just that with these EQs, okay? Yeah. And so it's funny, but like so many people, I don't know why people are always doing copies of these boards I make. I mean, I take it as a form of flattery. I appreciate it, but I think a lot of people don't really know the way I actually use these pedals. That people that do those copies, We're going to shed some light on that today, Robert.
Yeah, I was going to say. When did you first start modding them or having them modded?
The mod is great. It's not necessary.
Not essential.
It's great. Yeah. Some of the stock ones can be a bit noisy, but even then, it's not that bad.
So I've got a stock one over
Yeah,
there too.
yeah, they're fine. I mean, I'm happy with any GE7, modded or not. I even went as far as to have Barry at XTS design one for me years ago. That, see, this pedal, it goes from really low, like 100K, all the way up to like 6.4. So there's only 2 bands of it, of the 7-band, that really deal with mid-range.
Yeah.
I wanted more control over the mid-range. So I told Barry, take a 31-band EQ and take the 7 middle bands that are all the mid-range and put those in a pedal. And he did that.
So that's what your mod is.
Well, yeah, that's called the mid-range EQ. And that's really cool if you want to just really sculpt the mid-range, because that's what all guitar is anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do the trick where, like, can you see this?
Yeah.
I do, like, to simulate a really small, tiny amp sound, like a little tweed champ or something, I'll do something like this, where, like, I gas the mids way up, turn the bass and the treble way down.
Yeah.
And, like, it'll be like, here's no EQ at all. And you can really sculpt that inside of there. Check this out. Or this. I use that all the time. I always go for those lo-fi sounds. And this pedal has enough gain in it, it'll run you out of the room. Unity gain at 5 on that last slider, you've got tons of room after that. This thing is so loud.
Yeah.
It is so loud. That's that's one of the many tricks you could do with that pedal, is like the super lo-fi. I use that a lot. That's a good sound.
So when you're using like a Strat or something, are you usually jumping the mids up?
Yeah.
On that, like, constantly?
Yeah. Most, like, anytime I'm going for a clean kind of indie sound, it's always about mid-range boost.
Yeah.
Because you dial up, like, in baritone sounds, mid-range boost is great on those too. Mid-range boost is great on anything if you really hear it in the track. Like, let's just say I dialed up like I was doing like a Kings of Leon or something kind of clean part, like, just anything, like typical Radiohead or something, like, let's see. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Bridge pickup, a little bit of delay, reverb, let's see. Let's just do a clean, no delay. Great, and if you add a little bit of 800, a little 1K to that, it just gives it a sort of... And sometimes it's just a matter of, like, you plug in an amp, you plug in a guitar, and you go, man, that sounds amazing. I just wish it had a little bit less low end.
Yeah.
EQ's perfect for that. You dial up a sound, like, you're like, okay, I'm in the track. A lot of engineers will say, man, can you just take a little bit of low end out of that? That's a common thing you hear on sessions. Good sound. If it's a little low, if it's a little too much on the low end, you just... The guts of the tone are still there.
Yeah.
But it's just that sloppy low end stuff is gone. And
Yeah.
it fits in the track better. Right?
Well, I guess you said, like, if you can't dial enough bass out of the amp, this is like...
Perfect.
It's like an extra
Perfect.
bass knob.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The old Boss GE10, big Japanese ones, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the big ones.
The black ones, those are great too. And they're really great. as an overdrive device. If you turn the gain all the way up on those, and you boost a little mid-range, it's like the best overdrive pedal you can ever get.
Yeah.
It sounds like old Aerosmith records. It's really great, like really raunchy rhythm guitars on those great old records. That pedal, like I found that by accident. I was goofing with one of those one day. What does it do if you turn it all the way up? I was like, wow, what a great overdrive sound. And then I realized Eddie Van Halen used to do that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
He used to use those for that, and I came to the same conclusion. I had no idea that he did that. But man, that is a sound. I don't have one of those anymore, but I've owned a bunch of those over the years. They're great for overdrive, the Boss GE10. So there's like you were saying a minute ago about the Gretsch thing, right? Like,
yeah.
So like if you've got like a typical sort of, you know, if you're going for like the real high lonesome thing. That's the middle sound. These are PAFs. Good sounding pickups.
Yeah.
If you go to the neck, beautiful. It's a little bit tubby though, you hear that?
Yeah.
It's a little flubby. You can take the 100 out, leave the 200 in, cut the 400, boost the 2K, like the 4K stuff. All of a sudden it's Filtertrons. I could add some mids to that to make it cut even better. Check this out. I mean, I've got some great old Gretsch guitars, that, you know, with the old Filtertrons that I love to pieces. And there'd be times on sessions where someone would say, man, give me that big Gretsch neck pickup thing. And I'll plug it in and I'll be like, it's great. But the thing about Gretsch is they don't have any sustain at all, even on low notes. You hit it and it dies.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm working on it, I'll figure out a cool Gretschy part.
Then switch
I switch to this. And everyone's like, dude, that Gretsch sounds amazing. And I'm like, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Which to me is fascinating because it just shows how much you need to know about EQs and frequencies and stuff. It's not just about plug a pedal in and crank the amp up. It's, you know, you're sculpting.
Yeah, and it cracks me up when people talk about settings. Settings is such a funny concept to me. Like, there are no settings.
Yeah.
There's no, people say, what are your settings for so-and-so? I'm like, dude, that would be like, I made a joke in one of my videos. I said, like, that would be like asking a race car driver where he normally puts the steering wheel.
Steering wheel.
Like, it's a constantly moving thing.
Yeah.
There's no settings. So like Frank Zappa used to do this thing where he had like a really elaborate parametric EQ system in his guitar, built into the guitar.
Yeah.
And when he was playing in a hall, he would, at sound check, he would tune that frequency to the room to get the most awesome feedback. When you tune it just right, it's almost like when you tune a PA system, you know, you've seen guys do that with white noise.
Yeah.
You can actually,
Oh, yeah.
you can tune to the hall. He used all kind of elaborate EQs to get, you know, he wanted his lead sounds to be like, the distortion to be screaming perfectly.
Throughout the whole.
Yeah, throughout, and it's for that kind of shit. You can do that with EQ. It's great. I think I didn't understand the power of EQ when I was young. I just thought you use the amp knobs. I remember the first time I ever heard a Neve 1073. rack mount. I was working on a record, and the guy goes, "Man, check this out. What kind of sound you?" I said, "I want it to be real, like clean and bright." And he goes, "Well, check this out." He started turning knobs on 1073, and I'd never heard one before, and I was just like, "Oh my God, that is amazing."
Yeah.
What else?
Well, so would you say, is this your most used pedal?
Yeah.
I mean, like
Absolutely.
even over
Yeah, absolutely.
everything else, it's just
Yeah, because yeah, I would say I use it more than anything. It's the first thing I go to when I plug in something, and I hear it through the speakers. First thing I go to.
yeah.
And sometimes you don't need it at all. Sometimes you plug in and go, "Man, that sounds really good." I'm not always trying to EQ everything.
Yeah.
If I plug something in and it sounds exactly how I want it, I won't touch it. But that's rare.
Well, what
You
are
know.
some of the more weird sounds you do with it? Anything kind of funky when you're like,
Just the lo-fi stuff
Lo-fi?
mainly, yeah, and mainly I'm using it to correct things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm really doing. But the lo-fi stuff is probably the only effecty thing that I do with it.
yeah,
There really isn't anything else you could do with an EQ.
Yeah.
That's as far as like an effect.
yeah.
You couldn't just like be turning as you're playing.
Oh, if only you knew what you just started.
Yeah. These things will distort really good. Check it out. I'm going to set it flat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is the slider on the outside is the gain, right?
Yeah.
At 5, if there's a center of détente, as they say in France, you can feel it click in. That's it. That's unity gain, right? So theoretically, it should be the same as when it's bypassed. Watch.
Yeah.
Let's get it to be exactly the same. Pretty close, right? So from 5 on up on that outside is just nothing but gain. Watch.
I mean,
Amazing. There's other EQs that are great. Ibanez made some great graphics. I've got one of those. I use an Ibanez old parametric that they made. I can't remember the number on it. The Son of Kong pedal that Arthur Slutman made is a great EQ.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I use for EQ? Oh, the Empress is a really great. The Para EQ, that's a fantastic EQ.
well, cool, man.
What else? Anything else?
I think that's it. Do you want to tell us the rig that you're running through?
Yeah, I just brought this. I'm on my way to a session, and I'm going to a session right after this, and this is what I would use on the session.
Yeah.
I don't have cartage today, so, and I'm also bringing this to a gig tonight. I'm playing a gig tonight with at the Ryman with Hermanos Gutierrez. Those.
Oh, you
amazing,
did the album with them.
I'm going to sit in with those guys on a couple songs.
Nice.
And Hermanos. So I'll be bringing this basic pedal board, one of my smaller ones.
Yeah.
Princeton Reverb, which is perfect guitar amp, 335 of PAFs, and this is all the basic shit that I've been using forever. I have one board that's smaller than this, but my main session board is way bigger than this. But this is I think I've got 4 different pedal boards, and this one is the second smallest, which is great to grab around town. Of course, the no balls, the old no balls, Lightspeed, I love. The modded TR2 is the best tremolo pedal ever on earth. It's the best. Anybody that's never tried one of these, go out and buy one immediately. It's definitely the best tremolo pedal ever made. Halo is a great pedal. Keeley Halo. This is the best digital delay pedal ever made. Brig.
Yeah.
I've tried every one of them, and nothing has brought me the satisfaction that this has. Vertex Boost is a fantastic pedal. That's how I'm working my volume pedal. You know that?
No.
Okay, so the best thing about this boost pedal is that it takes your volume pedal. You have to use an audio volume pedal.
Oh. And what time did you need to be out of here? I don't.
I'm good.
You're good. Okay,
yeah,
I didn't want to keep you.
yeah.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I got like a lot of volume pedals kill signal, right? So when you go through them, So this pedal is great. You go through this pedal and it works as a traditional boost.
Yeah.
But it's got a tip ring sleeve connector that goes to an expression pedal. And that's how you control your volume.
That's interesting.
It's really great.
Yeah.
And I've been using those for years and it works beautifully.
Huh.
And then of course the Line 6 M9, which has a ton of great effects in it. I use it for everything. Phaser, flanger, delays, reverb, compression.
Man, so this is your just grab and go board.
Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Dude,
Hopefully this was helpful.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was fascinating to see it all and
Good.
everything. So
Great, man. Well, there you go, buddy. There you
thank
go.
you, man. Especially making the hike up here.
Oh, dude, no worries at all, man.
And I think that'll be it, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I always appreciate that so much. And a big old thank you to Tom for, dude, thanks for making the trip over. I know I told you a bunch, but I really do appreciate it. He is, very kind of him to share his knowledge with us that he's learned after using this pedal for all these years. So if you don't have one of these, think about maybe getting one. Try it out. It really does so much. I got mine a while ago, and I absolutely love it. You know, it's the main boost pedal that I use now. You heard Tom talking about that too. And I don't know, it just does so much, and it's kind of so overlooked, it feels like. So check them out if you would. Like I said, check out Tom's channel, subscribe to this one, and I'll see you all later. Bye, homies.